Call this meeting to order. We'll stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The door keeps opening. We have a full house. There are a few chairs in the front. If anybody would like to sit in the front, this isn't church. Commissioner Schumacher, we're aware of, has most of his shots. You're up to date, right?
Yes, I'm up to date.
Okay. And I'll turn it over to Bruce for a special announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Before we have our public hearing, I thought you might want to meet your newest employee for Sherburne County. So Dan and Jamie are going to head over so she can say hi. Jamie Beltrand is started, and of course, when she started yesterday, it starts with what we call NEWS, New Employee Orientation, or NEO. And so she starts with Dan in the morning and goes all day yesterday, and then has her first day on the job, and she has an evening meeting with our extension folks. So I hope that you can welcome Jamie in a second after Dan gives a little more formal introduction, and then maybe Jamie will even say hi. So.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Jamie Beltrand. She is in a very unique position where we're splitting a zoning position and an extension position. It was two positions. We combined them into one. She has a background at a plumbing office she managed, so she's pulled a lot of permits. And then she's also worked in 4-H in the past. So she has that background that we were looking for. It's a perfect fit. And she's a St. Cloud State graduate, so we know she's one of the best and brightest from that. And I'm going to introduce her. So Jamie, if you want to say a few words.
Good morning. I'm Jamie Beltrand. I am so happy to be here, and I am looking forward to meeting everyone and getting to know everybody. Thank you for the opportunity.
Welcome. Welcome. Thank you.
And for those of you who got to meet her last night at the meeting, I think you know how excited we are to have Jamie start with us. So.
Right. And Bruce, would you like to kick us off with the public hearing?
Yeah, if the board wants to approve the proposed agenda first, then we can do that.
We'll get to that. Full house. It's got me overexcited here. Need a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Hull, second by Commissioner Danielowski. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And number 2.1, conduct a public hearing on consideration of proposed tobacco ordinance amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. So I will start off with just setting the stage. Then we have a brief kind of review or overview from staff and from our Assistant County Attorney, Jen Pym, who's going to provide for the public a summary again of the proposed ordinance changes, after which we would recommend the board open the public hearing, conduct the public hearing, and then close the public hearing, although there is an option should you wish to continue the public hearing due to time considerations. So that would be to continue to a future meeting. At the end of the closure of the public hearing, the board has several options. The board can take no action, which is not recommended because of the statutory changes being recommended. The board can adopt the proposed ordinance as presented, or it can obviously consider and adopt the proposed ordinance as you deem amending today. The other technically fourth option would be to table it for future action, but those three options still remain, of which one is we would not recommend not taking any action, as Jen has divided the ordinances in the past so you can look at them for what we require statutorily to come into compliance with state law. Any questions from the board?
No.
Okay. With that, I'll ask Jen and staff to come forward, and they'll do a brief staff overview. When they are done, and you can, of course, ask questions of staff, but at that point, then we would ask that you formally open the public meeting and the public forum.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. So we just have a very short PowerPoint for you here today. And for the public, my name is Jennifer Pym. I'm an Assistant Sherburne County Attorney. And today we're presenting a proposed tobacco ordinance for the Commissioner's consideration. The reason that this amendment was being put forth before the Commissioners is that the current county ordinance number 222 was in effect since January 1st of 2018. It did capture electronic cigarette issues, but in 2019, federal law changed the legal sales age to 21. A year later, the state followed. The state also made some statutory violation changes, some compliance check changes, and age and signage requirements. So those have been in effect since 2020. Our ordinance has not changed. So this proposed ordinance reflects the changes to the federal and state law. It also incorporates some recommended public health best practices. The proposed changes incorporate statutory definition updates and additions, again, to be compliant with state and federal law. Updates references from minors to underage persons, specifically those under age 21. It adds in those age verification and signage requirements, prohibits sales and furnishing of products to persons under age 21, prohibits persons under 21 from tobacco shop premises, and updates the compliance checker ages to 17 to 20 years, again, to be consistent with state law. I'll ask Ms. Alicia Maxwell to address the next slide.
Good morning. Alicia Maxwell, Community Health Coordinator with Sherburne County Public Health, and I'm just going to briefly recap these additional proposed changes that the board, is considering. And these were really being considered to help prevent access to and exposure as well as use of commercial tobacco products for the betterment of our community's health. So looking at the first one, requiring an instructional program for license holders and employees. Minimum clerk age of 18 years in licensed businesses. And I would just like to note that for the 3 tobacco shops the county licenses, state law requires that those staff be 21 because no one under the age of 21 is allowed to access those establishments. So this would be applied to the other 14 businesses the county licenses. Looking at the proximity of tobacco shops to schools must be a minimum of 500 feet. There are some exceptions there noted. So exceptions for currently licensed tobacco shops, validly licensed tobacco shops where a school later locates within 500 feet, and new tobacco shop license applicants who purchase an existing validly licensed tobacco shop. The next two are really coupled together, so prohibit smoking indoors at licensed businesses and prohibit sampling in licensed businesses. So these actually are both applicable to our tobacco shops. There is a narrow exception for tobacco shops in the Minnesota Clean Indoor Air Act, and so this would close that and allow no smoking indoors or sampling in those tobacco shops, licensed tobacco shops. And then the last, only a validly licensed tobacco shop may sell flavored vapes.
Continuing on, other changes include the descriptions of what illegal acts are. So we're pulling in anyone furnishing products to an underage person. Again, that's anyone under 21 years of age. Possession of products by a minor would be a violation. Use by a minor, purchase of products by a minor would be a violation. Use of a fake ID to obtain licensed product by any underage person would be a violation, and using false or misleading information on applications would be a violation. The proposed ordinance also updates administrative hearing procedures. It specifies timelines, requires payment for hearing costs if violations are upheld. It also updated administrative penalties for license holders. As I've set forth here, there's differences for first, second, third, and fourth offenses with fine amounts set forth there. Also updated administrative penalties for others beyond just the license holders themselves. Those would include fines, instructional program participations, tobacco-free education, cessation programs, diversion, community service, and include an opportunity for that administrative hearing. It also reduced criminal sanction for minors or people under 18 who violate for possession, use, or purchase of a product. And so for today before the board, we are asking that there be a public hearing held, consider the materials that comes before the board, to approve and adopt the proposed ordinance presented or as amended by the county board here today. The request is for an effective date of the 1st of July, 2026. to allow time to incorporate all of the changes, as well as to include a repeal of the current ordinance on that same date and time. Additionally, if the ordinance is adopted, we would ask the board to approve the publication of a notice of enactment of summary as proposed. I know that there are a number of written materials that have been provided. There were a couple that were received early on and included in the request for board action packet, and I understand that a multitude of materials have been received since, and I certainly understand that there are probably a lot of people here to participate in the public hearing. Ms. Maxwell and I will be available after the public hearing should there be any questions for us.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'll give it down to Don. Would you like to, or Bruce?
Yeah, we'll start and set the frame for where Ms. Pym ended with respect to the materials. In addition to public comment received today, if any of the public commenters have materials for the board, we'll make sure they get distributed and that you have time to review them. We ask that if you do have materials to hand in, that you give them to Keisha. If you do not have enough for the full board, we will attempt to go upstairs and make copies quickly. If not, we'll share them serially. In addition, it is noted that we did receive a significant number of letters, emails that have been compiled and will be in a single, what we call record or record for decision, and that is being compiled between Jennifer and Keisha. So anything the board has received, we've asked to have shared. Anything you receive subsequent to the closure of the public hearing, we would also ask that you share. We did receive one additional letter last night prior to the, or just after the last email you received from Dan. And so I'm going to hand out a physical copy of that. There's also a copy that will be set at the table over with the material that is been compiled for the meeting. Anybody else interested in seeing the material that's been submitted can speak with Keisha, and we'll make arrangements for that. Don, do you want to jump in?
In addition to what Mr. Administrator had pointed out for the record before the board, I would ask that if any of the commissioners received additional communication or contact that was in something other than written form, that you would provide that disclosure at this time as well, so that can be made part of the record. And so I would just ask, just in turn for each of the commissioners to go down and identify if any such contact occurred, apart from the receipt of the emails that were then redistributed or the letters that were redistributed to the board and already made part of the record. Commissioner Schumacher.
I don't know why you want to start over here, but yes, lots of communications from different businesses in Zimmerman, Baldwin, Princeton, in opposition to this. We're picking winners and losers, and that's what's going to happen through this. When you come to Elk River, you don't have, this ordinance doesn't work in Elk River, but it works in Big Lake Township, doesn't work in Big Lake.
Sir?
And it keeps going. So those are the communications that I have. If you want to have
Mr.
that, though.
Mr. Commissioner, we'll have the discussion later.
Okay.
The question is limited to have you shared the correspondence you've received with either the clerk or me so that it's part of the record? In other words, have you submitted to us the things that you've received?
Anything I received, yes.
Thank you, sir.
And if I could just clarify, the summation you were giving was one of the opinions that you received in opposition, is that correct?
Same opinion from multiple business owners.
Understood, thank you. Commissioner Felber?
So yes, I have not sat down and made sure that every single email I got was also included in the emails that came to us yesterday afternoon. But I did get a significant number of emails from both local businesses, state lobbying, and other groups. And I do not at this point in time have a detailed list of them. But I think most of them were addressed to all the commissioners. But
Yeah, the question would be, those that you received, did you share with us?
I think most of them were shared, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think I hope I get this right. To the best of my knowledge, I've shared them all with you.
All right. Any other communications, Mr. Chair?
No.
All right. Commissioner Danielewski.
Thank you. Yes, to the best of my knowledge, I have forwarded every email that I received on this topic.
All right. And no other communications then?
No.
Thank you. Commissioner Hulse.
To the best of my knowledge, all of the written communication that I received was also received with the rest of the board and the admin. I did have one additional phone conversation last night with Representative Devine.
Yeah, I should say that, yeah, I had Representative Mecklin did call me last night.
All right.
Thank you.
And the commissioners did in fact receive in their board packets a number of items that were discussed, already made part of the record. And then that included the final draft of the proposed ordinance that's being discussed today, the notice of intent to enact, the notice of enactment summary, the retailer's notice of ordinance change, and the letters expressing, some letters expressing position. And then would the commissioners agree that that was included within the board's packet for review?
Yes.
Can just indicate by consensus. And then additionally, as Mr. Administrator had noted, that you received additional communication up into including just now this morning as well. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
With that, thank you, Commissioners. Mr. Chair, we recommend that you open the public hearing and receive additional public comment or testimony. Public hearing is open to anyone who is an interested or affected party. It is not limited by geography, by age, or by any other limitation. We do recommend that you maybe start with a equal and fair time allocation. The policy is typically 3 minutes, but we do not recommend that you terminate the public hearing if there are people still interested in speaking.
Okay. At this current time, I'll open the public hearing. In respect of time, I hope that everyone that hears to speak abides by or comes close to it, the 3-minute time limit. Also, if you feel comfortable enough and you want to state your name and address, that would be very good also. So at this present time, I'll open the public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak on this issue?
And as they come up, the clerk of the board will keep track of the 3 minutes and indicate when you get close to that time.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and County Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm here wearing a couple of different hats. My name is Rachel Hillier. I am the Director of Prevention, Safety, and Grants for ISD 728. I'm also an Elk River resident. I've raised 3 boys in Elk River, and I reside at 20984 Fresno Street here in Elk River. And I have worked in education and prevention for over 25 years. And I want to first of all say to the commissioners, as a public decision maker in my role as well, I know it's not easy. And so I thank you for your work to consider getting us up to state ordinance requirements. In addition, as somebody, I'm responsible for the safety of 15,000 kids in our district, and I can't do it alone. And I need you all to be partners in that work. And there are many people in this room who do this work with me. So flavored tobacco products really are one of the biggest drivers of youth use. We see it in our schools. Can't deny it. It's there. And there are also kind of copycat products that are just caffeine that are grooming our kids to use these products. So asking you to end the sale of those flavored tobacco products, and this is not anti-smoker, it's not anti-business, it's pro-kids. And I really can't make that point any stronger. The minimum price, also setting a minimum price can really help deter youth use, and then prohibiting couponing or making it more accessible to youth is really important. So we know that these policies work. When prices go up, youth use goes down. And so one of the things that you also have to consider is the proximity of tobacco shops to schools. This is just common sense. We should not have tobacco shops near our schools. I continue to imagine a kid riding the bus to school and seeing the advertising for tobacco, and that doesn't sit well and it doesn't serve our youth well. One of the last points that I really want to make that I hear all the time in my role, I'm also responsible for mental health services in our school system, and people wonder, why do so many kids have anxiety? And one of the reasons we have anxiety, we can talk about many substances, but there is a known cause between nicotine and anxiety. And if you know somebody in your life who has anxiety, and if you don't, you're one of the lucky few, people are using tobacco to calm themselves, to take the chill off, right? And what it does is it creates that cycle of addiction. And so they use it again to calm themselves, and then the withdrawal from the substance causes them to want it more. And so that's why I say to you, this is all pro-kid. We don't want our kids to start using, and you have the power to make some significant changes for our community that will help our youth to not become users. And I would encourage you to talk to anybody you know. I have many smokers and tobacco users in my life. They would have loved to have somebody speak on their behalf when they were younger. So thank you for listening. I hope that you can make a decision that benefits our youngest constituents. Thank you.
I'm not going to say it every time, but is there anybody here to speak on this? I'll let you regulate yourself. So if the podium's empty and you want to talk, please feel free to walk up, give us your name and address if you feel comfortable enough, and we'll go from there. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Paul Fisher. I didn't get the 3-minute license, so I'm going to I timed it at 4.5, so I'll try to do the best I can and not sound like the Micro Machine guy. I've lived adjacent to the community here. I've lived in Otsego for 23 years. Grew up in Zimmerman. I'm a licensed drug and alcohol counselor and licensed professional clinical counselor. And again, I've worked in the Elk River area for 23 years. I serve mostly through mHealth Fairview, and I am the Elk River School District's chemical health liaison. So I work with all the students across the district. Addiction doesn't discriminate. This is especially true of the tobacco products. I'm going to skip a little bit ahead because I know that other people talk on some things. One of the things that I want to really kind of impress is that the advent of vapes has created just a massive amount of addiction. And it's no secret why. So 5-8 years ago, I could say to a student that I was working with, how much did you vape today? Or how much did you smoke today? And they would say, you know, I smoked 5 cigarettes, 10 cigarettes, 1 pack. Now my conversation, same question, how much did you vape today? No one can answer that. They say I vaped all day, every day. So I've done a little bit of math and research. With the vapes, a puff is approximately 10 puffs on a vape is approximately the equivalent of 1 cigarette. So you can go into multiple places within our community and buy vape products that are 50,000 puffs. They're the size of like half the palm of my hand. That equals out to approximately 5,000 cigarettes, 250 packs, right? This was $32. 250 packs, you know, $2,500, $3,000 conservatively. I really wanted to bring that into play, make sure that we understand that. Check there. You know, one thing that I think I got to stop. One thing I think that, you know, we can do better, and we can enact some ordinances that restrict access to our kids. And the proposed ordinances will do that, and will help and assist in things. It's just the beginning, you know, in youth prevention and addiction. Hopefully that getting ahead of the nicotine will help get us ahead of the THC products that are coming down the line as well. So thank you for your time.
Anyone else to speak on this issue?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mitch Whipper. We own, my wife and I, Jen, excuse me, own the Briggs Lake General Store. I guess like 4258 105th Avenue is a store, Clear Lake. We're going to talk a little different than what we just heard. I'm looking at the 16 and 17-year-olds that we have on our store. Our staff is probably 70% of them. They're after high school. They come in, they work, they learn basic skills, social skills. We talk about mental health. Well, sitting on their phone because they're not 18 because they can't find a job. There's only so many McDonald's. There's only so many things they can do. We provide a lot of you know, they get into social interaction. Our store is a basically one-off store. We have off-road alcohol, we have cigarettes, convenience store, ice cream, you name it, we do it. We're a basic general store. My biggest thing is the commissioners did get a email from my wife. Obviously, I'm not that savvy. She hit a lot of PowerPoints. For us, our biggest concern is how do we keep 18-year-olds? We get high school kids for about a year and a half. Come the summer, they graduate, they're off to about August, they're gone. So we rotate back to 16-year-olds 90% of the time, every year and a half. So we have a problem with it, with the age requirement. How do we keep 18-year-olds on staff that much? So if we have an 18-year-old on staff for our liquor store in the summertime, which is our busiest time with the lakes around Briggs Lake. So how do we stop and start, if somebody came in to buy a piece of pipe, they come up and they need a can of chew, we gotta stop the process with 15 people in the room and stop and wait for the 18-year-old to come down so they can sell a can of chew. That's where we have our biggest problem, and it's gonna cause us some financial difficulties with trying to keep 18-year-olds, which I was in the construction industry and we couldn't find people at $40 an hour to work. How do we find the $13 an hour ones? So we are looking at, our consensus is the burden that it's gonna put on the small businesses, and you're talking 17 businesses in the county that are affected. Okay, so if you're looking at loopholes, well, if you guys figure, if people, the consensus is that the kids are getting, you know, they're vaping, or we don't sell vape products, so I don't have that concern. But for us, the concern is if they're not getting it from the retail stores, 90% of them are getting it from cousins, friends, 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. I mean, it's getting that way. They don't come into our store and buy. We keep a pretty good compliance. And the kids in the area, peer pressure, yes, not like it used to be. It's most of the kids are all in sports and they all know each other when they walk in the store. And we're pretty local, so we don't have that big influx in the city, you know, where you get a lot of different things in a quick trip or a holiday. We get pretty much the same people. So I just want to emphasize that it puts a burden on our business for under 18 to try to keep people employed. That was my deal, and you guys read our letter already. So thank you for the time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue?
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. My name's Jeff Jones. Similar story. We own the convenience store in Orac. At least half of our employees are 16, 17 years old. Same exact scenario. We have we sell hardware. We have a bait shop. We have the regular convenience store, deli. We don't have employees that are just cashiers or just stocking the cooler. Everybody that works there does everything in the store. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. It's the exact same deal we're experiencing in our store. If the city that is 5 miles away from me in Big Lake issues their own tobacco license and they can do what they want, it's going to really hurt our business. Same with Becker. So that's all I have. I'll sit down, let you head back to your meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Gray and Board. My name is Roxanne and I live in the city of Baldwin. As a community member, I wear many hats, much like Rachel indicated earlier, through the course of my day. For me, these include being recently retired from law enforcement, a business owner, and most importantly, a mom to 3 young men spanning the ages of 17 to 22. I spent my career serving the Sherburne County community and applaud you for taking action to improve the health of our youngest members. As a deputy, my responsibility was to protect the safety and well-being of our community, especially our youth. I spent many years working with students and families, I have seen firsthand the strain that addiction has on them. Community safety comes from healthy individuals and families. Policies that prevent addiction, reduce exposure to harmful substances, and promote health ultimately reduce crime, lower emergency calls, and ease the strain on our justice system. I also understand the importance of balancing economic interests with public safety and community health. Unfortunately, our community bears that cost in healthcare expenses, lost productivity, family consequences, and the impact on young people who become addicted early. Every single Minnesotan pays the price of tobacco harm, even if we don't smoke. According to a 2024 Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Minnesota report, smoking costs our state more than $4.7 billion a year. Note that this is just the cost of smoking. We have not yet tabulated the costs of vaping and other tobacco products. That number is staggering, especially when you consider how we might use those dollars to build a healthy economy that values lives. My own family, growing up, was impacted by nicotine addiction. My father began smoking tobacco when in the Army. The military would provide cigarettes to the servicemen for free, similar to when they would hand out food rations. When I was 10 years old, a heart attack took him from our family. My mother, who began smoking at the age of 15, died from lung cancer when I was only 32. Both were addicted to menthol-flavored cigarettes, the Cool brand, and each continued to smoke, even though they knew it was affecting their life negatively and ultimately our family's health and well-being. My sister put it quite plainly the week my mom died. We were now orphans. I truly believe that if they had not started using, had not been gripped by such a terrible addictive substance, our family of 6 would have had many more years together. This is just another way addiction robs families, and it still hurts, as you can tell. As business owners, we constantly are changing and adapting. There are new rules and regulations all of the time. I have found that it is simply a part of business. Any business is impacted by your positive decision to communicate. The importance of protecting our community from these harmful products by passing the recommendations outlined for you today by the experts in this field will understand you have the long goal in mind to support a healthier Sherburne County. Policies such as restricting sampling, enacting sales buffers from where children congregate through zoning regulations, removing the potential peer pressure to sell to young friends by requiring an adult to sell these products, and potentially in response to the business owners, which I totally understand would be very difficult for filling those positions. If you ban all flavors for tobacco, whether it's just from vapes, but all flavored, who's going to hopefully want just those cigarettes unless they're adults? The flavors are what grabs those individuals, much like my parents. And that was many years ago, and menthol was the only flavor at that time. Now you have many different kinds. Professional development of the laws surrounding these and other regulations so that they may be law-abiding and have the ability to educate others with their knowledge. Change is nothing new to us. It's what keeps our businesses and our communities growing. And finally, I ask that you support these provisions for families like mine who want our children to grow up addiction-free so that they can focus on choices that have a positive impact for themselves and their community, that they live long, healthy, and prosperous lives. There are too many difficulties in life to add yet another that is, quite frankly, 100% preventable. You are taking a great first step in updating our county laws around the sale of tobacco. I am happy that this is the first step, But I recently read the most important step is the second one. We need to continue to make investments in the future together. Healthy people and solid economic growth must go together if we want to build a stronger community. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue?
Just a reminder to try to keep to 3 minutes, and Keisha is putting up a stop sign, so thank you.
Good morning. My name is Nicole Stottlemyre. I live at 31509 147th Street in Princeton. That's the Sherburne portion of Princeton. Thank you, Roxanne, for giving me permission to be emotional. I, too, wear a lot of hats. I've worked in Sherburne County since 2005, but I'm here as a parent of a son who got addicted to flavored vapes at 15. And to say it impacted his life would be an understatement. He's a very goal-oriented kid, and he's been able to kick his addiction on his own, which is amazing, but he said he couldn't sleep. He would wake up at night and think the only way he could get back to sleep is if he vaped. He was in sports. I took him to get his physical, and he needed to get an inhaler. At this time, I didn't know that he was using vapes, and it's probably a big reason why he doesn't struggle with any breathing issues now that he's done using. But it really, I wish he could be here speaking. He would tell everybody, he's like, anybody who wanted, if I'm with friends who are vaping and they're offering it to other people, I'm like, don't do that to them. Don't put them in the position that you're in, because he knows how it affected his life. And I just think that we all need to do what we can. We have control over different pieces here. As the schools, I work in the schools, we're doing our part. I'm just asking you to do your part and what you can as a board, which it's very powerful. So please consider everything that you're hearing today and make the right decision. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Gray and Commissioners. Thank you for having us today. My name is Molly Ruby. I live at 21016 Lander Street Northwest here in Elk River. I am here today on behalf of the Sherburne County Substance Use Prevention Coalition as the chair. I am also the executive director of the youth serving sector of the Elk River YMCA and a parent. I too have raised 3 children in this district, one of whom, my youngest, left the district because of peer pressures in vaping and smoking marijuana at the Elk River High School. I say that not to say anything negatively about our education system, which I firmly believe in, and we have many, many people among us who work towards that prevention. What I will say is that peer pressure is stronger than ever. And in speaking to my middle daughter, she said that at an early age, as early as 8th grade, her peers began getting access to flavored vapes. And the reality is these candy flavors, Sour Patch Kids, grape, cherry, you name it, the flavored vapes are the issue. And so I speak on behalf and strongly encourage you to move forward with continuing to regulate and help regulate with the proposed ordinance, flavored vapes in particular, and also limit discounting, because we want to keep these flavored vapes in particular and discounted products out of the hands of our youth. Access is rampant. Don't ask how. Kids are smart. They get access. They have friends, certainly, but they also have friends working in the convenience stores. I, too, had 2 children work in the convenience store locally here, and they saw it. I mean, kids will try to get access as much as they can. And the other thing that I just want to share is that it is the gateway drug. The flavors are easier to hide than the smell of smoke or the smell of cannabis, and so it's easier to hide from their parents. And so the lie that's being told is that it's not harmful. It is indeed harmful, and the candy flavors and the discounting are harming our youth. We need to keep them out of the hands of our youth. We need to limit access to our youth, and we need to all stand up for the health of our young people. Also, just one more point that hasn't been addressed yet. I'm also on the Elk River Fire Department. The substances in these vapes are hazardous materials, and so it's an environmental issue, as well as the disposal of the e-cigarettes are an environmental issue that we need to consider. So thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate you hearing us today.
Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
My name is John Fisher, and I'm a senior at Spectrum High School. I've had the opportunity of volunteering with the Sherburne County Substance Use Prevention Coalition and the amazing public health team here in Sherburne County. With them, I helped assemble 200 quit kits to help teens who were addicted to vapes, and those were given out to schools. Then recently, at an event called Community Connect, we were educating parents about the harmful effects of these products. What really stood out to me was how many school-age kids and even toddlers came up to our table, drawn in by the bright colors and flavors that they saw. We even had young kids who were not even 6 years old telling us they know what those are because they had seen people using them and smelled them. These products are made to attract people like me, teens and young adults. Everywhere I look, someone is using them, whether in person, at school, in the bathroom, where they smell them, and they smell great, honestly. And someone's using them online all the time. The marketing behind them is massive. Over $8.2 billion is spent on advertising, yet these same companies say that they care about kids in our communities. The stores say they care about us, but why are the displays so brightly lit and the brightly colors on all the vapes and everything, and amazing flavors? I'm doing what I can to educate my peers, but we can't do it alone. We need help making these products less accessible and less visible. Think about someone struggling with addiction. It's not their fault or their parents' fault, it's the industry's fault. These companies place their products right where we can't avoid them. Every gas station, every convenience store, right next to where kids can get a slushie. Please help protect our community from an industry that profits from addiction. Let's make sure that the next generation grows up free from the influence of these products. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Alexis, and I'm a senior at Big Lake High School. I want to start off by thanking you all, the Sherburne County Board of Commissioners, for working to update your local tobacco licensing ordinance. The proposed protections, like stopping product sampling, keeping new tobacco shops at least 500 feet from schools, requiring retail education, and setting 18 as the minimum age to sell tobacco products are important steps to help reduce youth access and exposure. Although I do want to mention flavored products are a big reason so many young people start using tobacco and nicotine products. Flavored products like methanol cigarettes, mint pouches, and flavored chewing tobaccos are just as addictive and harmful. Ending the sale of flavored tobacco products and setting minimum prices and stopping couponing would go even further to protect youth and support the people in our communities. I know so many students that once they start, they can't stop, and they don't know how to stop. I mean, so many kids are like, well, then why do you even start? And then the blame right off the bat is just like, what's the worth in quitting? Because once kids find this like easy out or a way to relieve this anxiety that some kids feel, it's hard for them to come back from that because they found something that works. In reality, it's harming them in different ways. I know specifically with the 18 as a minimum sale, I know people that work at Herbert's and Gerbert's that aren't allowed to use the garbage compactor because they're not 18. So I know there are so many other businesses as well that are able to work with the 18 age requirement, but I also believe that businesses have the right to sell and do whatever they need to do to make a living and an income, and I respect their grind and their work to do that. I just know that we all know nicotine hurts developing brains and increases mental health issues and can lead to lifelong addiction. Stronger local protections help reduce how often young people see tobacco marketing and make it harder for them to access the products and support a healthy community. I encourage the board to consider these stronger protection as you update this ordinance. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue?
My name is Jeannie Weigum, and I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm the volunteer president of the Association for Non-Smokers Minnesota. And Mr. Schumacher and I have had a most interesting email exchange. I'm passing around a picture of my high school graduation present. It's the Olympia typewriter. That's the small little portable typewriter that's there. Some of you may remember these things, and I suspect some of you in the room have never seen one. One of my other gifts was a dictionary, a big red Webster's dictionary. And I suspect, I see smiles, some of you had those too. The second picture I passed around was the IBM Selectric typewriter. And I had one of those too. I upgraded after my days with my little portable. And today, one of these companies continues to exist. IBM. We know IBM. None of you know the Olympia company because they went out of business. They made the world's greatest manual typewriter. It was beautifully engineered. It was portable and compact and durable, but they did not innovate. Along came computers, and IBM innovated. IBM changed their business model. Olympia did not, and they died. I'm here to tell you, most of your businesses are pretty darn smart, and they will innovate, and they will change with the times, and they will prosper. And those that do not, even if they're wonderful businesses, like the Olympic Typewriter Company, will die, but most will not. Most will succeed because they know how to innovate. I encourage you to pass your ordinance and watch your businesses innovate and grow. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue? Third and final call. Is there anyone else here to speak on this issue? That being said, I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Felber, second by Commissioner Hulls. All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Chair, just one other note for the record. We waited till after public hearing just to share this. Staff did also receive a call from State Representative Shane Meekland, who wanted to share with the board his concerns. They were similar, I think, to what Commissioner Felber said, but we just note the two concerns the representative raised were the challenge of finding employees at age 18 and older versus 16, and then the second was the potential impact of the ability of the county to regulate only a certain number of businesses in the county and not others, creating potentially an unequal playing field. So just note that for you as well.
I just want to know that all of us just received an email, I believe, in regards to one of the individuals that spoke was not able to complete his, due to the 3-minute time limit, so we all did receive an email. If any of you wanted, I think we have brief time to go through anything like that. Bruce?
Sure, and then also Commissioner Felber just sent a copy. I think it was already in the record, but thank you for doing that. It was.
That was the one we just got.
So, thank you.
Okay. So we'll take 5 minutes here to review that email.
That would be great.
Okay, we'll reconvene then.
As you reconvene, I think Donna and I noted in your earlier summaries, there was, I believe it was Representative Novotny called you, is that correct? We're just wondering if you could summarize the gist of that conversation, if it was similar to one with Representative Meekland, so it's in the record.
Yeah, it was based on a conversation between him and Representative Meekland.
Thank you. So suggestion would be to open up for board discussion if you're ready. Again, Jen, I will ask maybe to be prepared to walk you through the specific ordinance changes. She had them outlined in detail for you as you have your discussion.
I would be willing to start.
Commissioner Sherburne.
So, I don't think it's any surprise to everybody on the board. I have been opposed to a lot of this. You know, I have a deep-seated remaining opposition to the age of 21 nationwide. But at this point in time, even the U.S. military has enacted that. So that's not one we're going to change at this level. However, by consensus, we had advanced what was remaining of this ordinance, which did include the prohibition on 16-year-olds working in the stores, and as one item, and the selling of flavored vapes at only tobacco shops. And I agreed with that because I wanted to get the public commentary on it. I wanted to know what the businesses actually thought. What we have gotten from the businesses, both large and small, in our packets and in all these documents on the record, is that those two things present problems for the businesses. The 16-year-olds being able to work there, they obviously, that was just described to us here. I won't rehash that extensively, but it does create a problem for all of our businesses. And I am, as always, I object to making life more difficult for our business owners in Sherburne County. As far as the flavored vapes, I didn't realize, but we got data in our packet that showed that flavored vapes can be up to 30% of all tobacco sales, so that's significant money for the people that are getting them. Obviously, Mr. Whipper testified they don't even sell them, so it's not a big deal for everybody, but it's a big deal for some. These are, you know, these are adult products for adults, and they are being sold legally. If we enact that, it does create a situation where, you know, if you can't buy them, I don't think they're a big seller in my neighborhood. If you can't buy them in Palmer, say he was actually selling them and it was a part of his business, you would just run down the road to St. Cloud. Or you'd run over to Becker if Becker didn't have something against it in their zoning, or Big Lake, or whatever. So that creates an uneven playing field, which is also problematic for our businesses. So I would request that when we do this, that we remove that, which would be section 1000 sub 1B. As far as the 16-year-olds, back to that one other point that I wanted to make there, if you want to teach kids to be strong against peer pressure, let them sell cigarettes in a store. Let them have that kind of responsibility. The more responsibility that you have when you're 16, the stronger you're going to be. Now, having said that, I also have made it no secret, I started smoking on a regular basis when I was 15. I could buy them legally at 16. My high school had a smoking area. I did so because that's what the adults in my world did. When I was 15, I got my first full-time job, and I have been gainfully employed, with the exception of a couple weeks after military service, since I was 16 years old on a regular basis. I did smoke for roughly 30 years, and then I did quit. But I think these are individual choices for adults. I think that children primarily reflect the adults in their life, so it's important for the adults to teach the kids what to do. It's important to parent these types of things. I don't think that we should do that. I'm not going to make the motion at this point in time, but I will not vote for an ordinance that includes those two sections.
Mr. Chair.
Can you bring up, Keisha, what it is that those changes that we're looking at doing on the screen, please? Thank you.
The two sections I'm talking about are sub 412 and then section 400 sub 12 and section 1000 S1B.
Mr. Chairman, while that is coming up, I can be real quick and brief.
Commissioner Schumacher.
I want to thank everyone who came in front of the county board and who spoke. Your community engagement is definitely empowering the entire board. The amount of people and the engagement is remarkable. So I want to thank each and every one of you guys. And then I just want to put into the meeting minutes the Star newspaper from Saturday, November 8th. And if you look, it's Smoke Less. It's the main page article where it's $2 off any vape disposable expires on 11/14/2025. So this, for the Zimmerman residents that I represent, would just be a short e-bike ride down the Great Northern Trail to save $2. Because we're not going to be able to fix this in a piecemeal situation. It should be at the state legislature level, and then we could fix the whole thing. And so it wouldn't affect individual business or individual communities. It would just be a statewide thing. But I just wanted to put this into the meeting minutes, and then we can pass that to anybody else who wants that. I think everybody else got a copy of the newspaper.
Commissioner Hulse?
Yeah, first off, just a couple of clarifications. Based on how the revised ordinance is written, I want to be clear, it would not preclude a 16 or 17-year-old from working in a business that sells tobacco products. Other than tobacco shops, you have to be 18 to work in a tobacco shop. But it doesn't preclude 16 or 17-year-olds from working in those shops. It precludes them from selling those specific products. You'd have to have an 18-year-old clerk to specifically do that transaction. Am I correct in how that is written?
Yes, you are correct. They would be able to employ 16 or 17-year-olds. They just would not be able to sell those products. They would need to get somebody on staff that is 18.
Okay.
And then just to clarify, you have to be 21 to work at a tobacco shop.
So in a tobacco shop, you have to be 21.
Correct.
Okay. So the two pieces of concern, I completely understand the business's concern around limiting their potential pool of employees. I completely get that. The challenge that I have with is, as you stated, Commissioner Felber, these are adult products for adults, so why do we let children sell them? I find that ironic. The second piece is that any business that chooses to go into this business, they can do so. You can choose to make part of your business a tobacco shop and follow the ordinance and still sell those products. It's just your choice whether or not that fits your brand and whether or not that fits your business model. We have had a number of individuals, from youth to the schools to superintendents, come to us and present the challenge that they are seeing with these vape products. And I think we were very specific in how we carved out what we were going to do. And you know, the Board of Health individuals on our staff were not entirely pleased with all of our decisions. And obviously neither is some of the businesses, which means since we managed to make everybody mad, we're probably doing the job right. So
we won't make everyone happy. Let's just put it that way.
But we tried to do this with a scalpel, not with a sledgehammer. There are challenges to business, and I completely understand that. But given these particular products, given that these products are designed, produced, and targeted to start youth on this path of addiction, I feel like what we have put together is appropriate. And as I say again, I just disagree with Commissioner Felber. If these are adult products for adults, we shouldn't have children selling them. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Danielowski.
Thank you. I concur with Commissioner Hull's statements totally, 100%. Being a previous smoker for many years, I started on menthol cigarettes because I couldn't really tolerate the taste of an actual cigarette. So it was menthol for me for many, many years. And I worked really hard, to Commissioner Felber's point, to make sure I worked hard to try to parent my kids, not to get into having that monkey on your back. And knock on wood, thankfully, I was mostly successful. There was a small period of time where one of them decided that peer pressure got the better. But since, definitely did not get into it as hard as I did. So that being said, I do have one comment on one of the letters received from a business that looked like it came from corporate. And it's with one of the businesses that we as a county regulate and do their licensing. There is also a business that is in the city of Big Lake that is of that same name. They just recently, at their last council meeting, because this particular business that is a corporate business that highly said that we work hard to make sure that we're training our young people to not sell, was before the council on their third violation in 36 months. That violation for failing the tobacco compliance check in the city of Big Lake, that level comes with a $1,000 fine and a 7-day suspension of your license selling capability. So it does happen, much as I'm sure that the corporate business doesn't want those things to happen, but when you're dealing with young people and the peer pressure of them to have to say no to someone or do what you want them to do is challenging at best. And so I totally agree with Commissioner Hull's comments that to put young people in charge of being the ones to say yes or no to who they're going to sell to, and more than likely, especially in our communities, someone they know is going to know them. They'll get back to school, and pretty soon they're being targeted with negative comments because of what their actions were upholding the law. So I am 100% supportive. I do understand from the business's perspective some of the challenge that can happen. And I would love this to go countywide. And that hopefully will be our next step, just like it was when we went smoke-free in our parks and such. We have gone around to encourage the cities in this county to adopt those same rules and regulations. And we'll do this with this, I'm sure, and hopefully make headway. I can't disagree that it hopefully would be taken up at the state level, but in the meantime, we can do something to help protect our youth from any access to something that is going to detrimentally affect their lives in getting down the road to addiction. Thank you.
Well, I think it's no surprise that since I became board chair that I've been an advocate of the public health sector completely. I think I agree with Commissioner Hulls in the aspect of that, 16-year-olds being a small business owner at my time also that, it is challenging to find labor. So I wish we could maybe carve out the respect or a derivative of the 16-year-olds being able to be clerks. But the flavored thing to me is just totally off limits. That is completely targeting children. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I don't see too many 35-year-olds buying Tutti Frutti grapes or whatever godforsaken names they're called. I think that we, as the county board, can set a precedence for all the cities to make their ordinance a little bit firmer, a little bit stronger, to mimic what we're doing. But businesses will adapt. There's no doubt in my mind. I was an advocate for the bigger fines and penalties because for a large company to write out a check for $500, big deal. they'll write out a check for $1,000 just as well and still say big deal. So I like the ordinance the way it was written. I think we could carve out a little bit maybe for the clerk age would be the only give that I would pursue in my aspect. And this isn't something that's going to be seen right away. Public health is not something that's instant gratification. It's years. This is 5 years away, 10 years away, 15 years away. What are those youth are doing now? We're looking at a 35-year-old now that's been vaping is going to be much different than a 60-year-old that's been smoking their entire life. The health implications are tremendous. So I like the ordinance the way it's written. I think we could have the discussion of maybe carving out the 16-year-old clerk thing to accommodate some of the businesses, but the big businesses, I respect all the individuals that stay here. Big business is not here making a statement. The individuals were, the people that care about this stuff were, and that has a lot of impact on me. Thank
So,
you.
from a Robert's Rules, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to clarify. Nobody is saying you can't have a 16-year-old clerk. They're just saying that there should be an adult in that vicinity. I would hope that nobody would have only a 16-year-old or clerk that is in charge of that store without an adult somewhere in the vicinity that would be of age to assist with that sale.
Yeah, and I just want to have that discussion of where we're at.
Okay.
Verbiage and wordage that's in there.
All right, thank you.
So I think at this point, it seems like you're going to continue discussion. What I would recommend from a Robert's Rules standpoint would be have a motion and a second to, maybe do something with the ordinance, get that done, and then you would have formal discussion on that motion, and then you can do amendments or vote it up or down,
Well, and
just so
then-
you can continue discussion.
Then trying to read the room here, I'm going to have to retract my previous statement that I wouldn't vote for one thing. But reading the room and what we've basically all said we're going to do, my motion would be to pass this ordinance with the change to subdivision, or section 400, subdivision 12, changing 18 to 16. No, it says 18.
Oh, 18 to 16.
Yeah, 18 to 16. Because in all the years I've been going to convenience stores, and, and I worked in a squad car. Convenience stores were a big part of my life. I've never seen one that didn't sell tobacco products, and I've seen a lot of them that ran with just 16-year-olds in them at the time.
Let's get a second
and
and then
ran
go to
just fine.
discussion.
Yep.
Let's get a second and then go to discussion on it.
State your motion again, please.
Yes.
My motion would be to pass the ordinance with the change to subdivision 12, section 400, subdivision 12, changing 18 to 16.
Jennifer, can I ask first, is that doable within the ordinance, in your opinion, from a legal standpoint?
Commissioners, yes, it is doable to change section 400 subdivision 12 to change the number from 18 to 16. I would posit for the board that should also in turn have a change to section 1100 other legal acts subdivision 2 possession by a minor to include a carve out to indicate that provision which makes it a violation for a minor, someone under 18, to possess licensed products, that subdivision would not apply to 16 or 17-year-old retail establishment employee who's possessing a licensed product solely in the course of their employment duties for the license holder and who has completed an instructional program to ensure that if this is a change that is done, that those clerks aren't then at risk of a violation for being a minor in possession. But those two things in concert would be doable.
I would amend my motion to include that phrase then. In section, what was it, 11 sub 2?
1100 subdivision
sub
2.
Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Like I say, I don't think that changing that is going to really affect.
One thing I want to ask from a standpoint, if we change that, will we be, if we find out through enforcement that that becomes an issue, will we be able to make an amendment to the current ordinance to go back to 18?
Commissioners, if this is adopted and the anticipated or the requested effective date is July 1 of 2026, and so if over the course of time it turns out that that becomes an issue, then an amendment could certainly be done that would warrant another public hearing at that time, and the process that we're here doing today.
But it is doable.
Yes.
Any discussion? We have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair, I personally think by doing this, you are weakening what it is that we worked to establish. You're putting young people back into the situation of having to succumb to peer pressure. I think that this just extremely limits the ability to do what we're trying to do, and that's to keep these products out of the hands of youth. I personally think that one of the testifiers commented that there are garbage compactors in a lot of these establishments. You have to be 18 to utilize that. You cannot be 16. So there's ways that businesses do definitely find the way to accommodate these things. And I am not in favor of changing this age from 18 to 16 for a person who sells or works in an establishment. They can still work there.
Would you be?
Nothing to be said that there's an 18-year-old or older that can come and sell that product, that young person under 18 can't.
Would you be, could we have the discussion that there has to be an 18-year-old on site?
That's going to really make it hard because, I mean, okay, you have, obviously my neighborhood store for the last 29 years has been the Sand Dune Stop under various owners and some various changes in names. And the people who worked there as kids are still friends of our family. We watched them grow up. One of the clerks at the gas station where we used to take breaks in our patrol division, I actually attended her wedding. We're still friends. You get to know these people that work there. But in all those situations, there were times you walk into that store, and if there was an 18-year-old employed there at the time, they might be out doing something else. They're not available. Maybe they're out, maybe they're the one who's out filling the propane tank or shoveling the walk. It's just too much to expect these businesses to have to shuffle people around just to do that thing and to do this one product. Ener walks in there and Ener's getting, 50 gallons of fuel for the diesel. He's grabbing some hot dogs. He's grabbing some coffee. He's grabbing a few other things. And then he's going, oh yeah, and I'll take and all this is rung up. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, and I'll take a bag of Red Man. Non-flavored tobacco, one of my favorites when I was young. Now they would have to void that out, or they'd have to hold that until they could get the other employee in there. And that's just an inefficiency that I don't think the businesses need to deal with. I know it's not popular, but
My just 18-year-old on site, not having to ring the till, just an 18-year-old on site.
Mr. Chair, I would have to say that most businesses do.
Have an
I, as a
18-year-old on site.
parent, would not ever consider letting my child at that age be the only person in a store that, if you're working the night shift, I'm sorry, at 16, I would have never let my kids do anything like that if there was not an adult on site. So I'd have to say, I'd be surprised if any business is allowing just a 16-year-old to do the running of this establishment during business hours, whatever they may be. There's got to be an adult on site somewhere.
Mr. Chair, so a couple of points. One is, I just want to reemphasize my original point, which is this is an adult product. This is same age restriction as alcohol. A server serving alcohol has to be 18 in the state of Minnesota. I don't see a distinction between these two types of products because they are specifically adult products. So I don't know why we're carving, I understand the business concerns around limiting the potential employee pool. But I also firmly believe we're putting those 16-year-olds in a very difficult position. In that they're then supplying and selling adult products, you know, and they're kids. I mean, 16, 17 are kids. And so I'm struggling with making a differentiation between who's allowed to serve alcohol versus who's allowed to sell these products. In addition, there are requirements and there are limitations on what 16 and 17-year-olds can do as employees in the state of Minnesota. I believe on a school night they can't work past 10. They're not allowed to work where there's a walk-in freezer, as an example. There are a number of restrictions on 16 and 17-year-olds by statute in the state of Minnesota. So while yes, it creates an additional challenge with limiting the potential employee pool, it's my belief that if we pass it such that it's we allow 16-year-olds to sell the products basically unsupervised. Now they would still have to go through the training and the other requirements that are put in the ordinances, and I get that. I just think we're putting them in a very difficult position.
Thank you. Thank you for the discussion, and somebody else inserted it, but I do want to bring it up because I think it's a valid point. The county board is unified in our discussion to recycle cardboard. We are really excited about people who put cardboard in the cardboard bundler and recycle cardboard. We are very excited about that. I want to just say that. I will also bring up our DFL former leader, Kamala Harris, wanted to lower the voting age to 16, but that was brought up that they are, I mean, I believe that with Mr. Halls, but I do believe the DFL leader thinks differently about that topic of their age. Just my 2 cents.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Commissioner
You know, I guess, you know, we used to go sit by the convenience store with our squad cars when they closed down at 9 or 10 p.m. because there would be a 16 or 17-year-old alone in that store, and we weren't going to let them walk out of that business. They did have an emergency alarm. I always thought they should have had 2 people there, and I have a particular, I'm not going into the details, but I have a particular case in my head that sticks in my head is why I think that there should be at least 2 16-year-olds in the store, 2 people in those stores at night. But nonetheless, we did watch them. But the kids who worked in those stores, like I say, that they were then kids, and to me they're still kids because they're younger than my daughter, are you know, very responsible adults now. And that's a lot of the skills that they learned working in those stores. So, I mean, and right now, as far as supervision, you're never not supervised in a store now because everybody's on film all the time. I mean, they always have the closed circuit cameras. I don't recall going into a store except in a couple of really remote areas of Arizona recently that were a little bit different, where you don't have a camera on the counter all the time. So even if the 18-year-old has stepped away, or if there's no adult in the store at the time, they are being supervised as far as that goes, and the kids will know. You know, and I think it's up to the people that run those businesses. Can things go wrong? Absolutely, things can go wrong. There's 101 different ways that people can subvert the law and get things to kids. I mean, if there wasn't, we wouldn't have fentanyl in the streets. We wouldn't have, I mean, you can't sell that anywhere legally, but God, it's everywhere. So I mean, I think doing that doesn't necessarily really make a positive effect. It's just a negative effect on our local business owners. I think I probably said that like 3 different ways and keep saying the same thing, so.
Commissioner Hall.
Mr. Chair, so as a thought, not that there is a motion and a second on the floor. I'll hold my thought till after the vote on this one.
I want to be perfectly clear that I seconded this motion so we could have this discussion. I think that the public knows that, needed to know that we have this discussion. I think there have been lots of valid points that have been brought out. So that is one reason I seconded this motion, so we could have the discussion. I didn't want it to just die.
Well, if that's the case, then I don't, if we were to allow 16-year-olds to sell products, I guess my caveat to that would be I would like to see much more stringent penalties.
Stringent, I'm sorry?
Penalties. Which would cause a rewrite.
I think we upped the penalties in this ordinance, didn't we?
It's 1,500.
Yeah, we just upped our penalties in this one.
Well, I'm not asking for a modification. I'm just stating it for discussion.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Danielowski.
I just wanted to emphasize that my vote is going to be to protect the youth in this county as much as possible at gaining access. Is it going to close that door totally? No, but at least I know that I'm doing everything I can in working to try to minimize the opportunity for our youth to have access to something that is being explicitly marketed and targeted at them to go down the path of potential addiction in their life. And I'm not saying, and you know, there are young people who have gotten addicted, have beat that addiction and gone on to become very responsible adults. But yet, if I can do anything to help them from having to go through that period of time in their life, because the big marketing committee and big business are targeting them to become addicted to these products. And if there's any way to prevent a young person from having to be put into that situation, they're even struggling to find checkers to be used in these compliance checks because everybody is concerned. They don't want to be that person that is going to be possibly targeted or excluded from their peers. So that tells me that they're still at that vulnerable age. We should not be putting this on them. And I agree with Commissioner Hulse. I think he's 100% spot on. They should not be the ones that have to make those decisions. They are not even old enough, technically, to be even using the product. And we don't put it on our youth to be able to, I'm sure at some time when they were saying selling alcohol, there probably was a point in time where maybe younger people were able to do it before the rules and regulations caught up with it. And I just want to say, counties on average are usually the leaders on these things. And then the state normally will follow suit, because I am surprised that they haven't already done something of this nature like they've done with alcohol. And I will be voting no on this motion, but yes to hopefully the next motion that keeps the clerk's age at 18.
If the chair pleases, I'd like to call the question.
Okay.
Calling the question is non-debatable, non-discussable, so you just take the vote.
Roll call or not?
It's not required.
Wishes of the board, roll call or no roll call? Roll call.
I think we'll know.
Clarify the motion, please.
Here we go again.
Yeah, Greg, I can give you the citations when you get there. So.
The motion was to pass the ordinance with amending Section 400, Subdivision 12, so that the minimum age would be 16, and amending Section
1100.
1100
Subdivision
Subdivision
2.
2, so that a 16-year-old or other minor in performance of their job at a store could be in possession of the restricted products exclusively for the purpose of making a sale or stocking that item on the shelves.
Commissioner, are you specifically incorporating the language that Ms. Pym read as to that piece, the latter piece concerning Section 1100?
I'm sorry?
Are you specifically incorporating the proposed language that Ms. Pym had brought up earlier on Section
Yeah, I was trying to
1100?
paraphrase it, because I didn't memorize it. I'm
Fair
not
enough.
that good.
Although this motion included specificity to performance of job duties, Jen, so we'll have to make sure you
Yeah,
include those.
yeah, I think she phrased it much better than I did.
All right.
Not surprising.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Mr. Chair, I just want to clarify, your vote was?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so the motion fails, and you're back to discussion on the original proposed ordinance.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the ordinance as presented.
Have a motion on the floor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hulls. Any further discussion?
I'd like to call the question. I think we've discussed it to death.
Yeah, we beat it to death.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Mr. Chair, if it's appropriate, maybe we can take a 5-minute recess, and then folks can move if they're going to not stay for the rest of the board meeting. You guys can take a restroom break and refresh
I
your
would
drinks.
just, before we do that, I would just like to say thank you, everybody, for coming out, sharing your concerns, no matter which side you were advocating for. Thank you.
We'll reconvene. It's 10:40 and we're going to get to open forum.
Oh, anybody here?
So Brian, is there anyone on the open forum list?
Board Chair, we have no one for the open forum.
All right. We'll move on to consent agenda number 4. Need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Oh, yes, so moved.
Moved by Commissioner Felber, second by Commissioner Schumacher. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Announcements. Commissioner Messel.
Mr. Messel, thank you, sir. Really appreciate the opportunity. I would just note, you went so fast through consent, I didn't get a chance to give my Eagle Eyes Award. So I give special kudos to Commissioner Felber, who noted the lack of attachments. Don't leave yet, don't leave yet. So lack of attachments for 2 of your RBAs. And, you know, I think that you should definitely address Mr. Lucas for his oversight. So I think, you know, it should at least cost him a buble for Dan and a Mountain Dew for me for his oversight in missing all of those attachments. So
It's not a mistake if you can correct it.
there you go, there you
As long
go.
as we've got the information before we vote on it.
Even before 8 o'clock.
There you
Absolutely.
You know, actually, that we need a recording of that because that's exactly what we're telling the feds about the error rates with the SNAP and stuff. It's not a mistake if you correct it in time. So, all right, well,
Have to operate with that because, boy, otherwise life would get hard.
all right, well, thank you, Dave, for getting the information to us quickly. So, also just note for the announcements there, we didn't talk about it, but the final execution for the land purchase of the Moore House. So appreciate that. The closing will happen, and it's tomorrow. And you and I are on the hook, I think, to go sign some things. So
Yep.
just a couple other quick notes this afternoon. If you're interested, I did send out to you information on the NACO Central Regional meeting today, so that you should have received that. Also. Let's see, agenda-wise, just a note, on Wednesday, we'll be discussing with AMC our policy provisions, and so Commissioner Hulse is going to join me and go through the general government ones, and then the HHS ones as we get closer to December. We'll be prepping that as well. Also, I think I'm in the process of finalizing our legislative positions, so they're not all, you know, through AMC. We have our own too. And I'll be bringing that as a draft. And given what was discussed today, I would be interested if there's a board interest in adding the tobacco changes to our legislative position to see if there is an interest in statewide uniformity.
I think, Mr. Chairman, that would be, you know, if you get this much community engagement and we take this seriously, I think we have to talk about it, you know, more
On a bigger level.
on a very broad level to get that. If
I think all of us have said that.
Yeah. I think we're too late for AMC, and that's fine. But and again, you speak to the state representatives, and we can all read the tea leaves with our folks. But you know, again, that issue of uniformity is probably worth at least raising. So, if with consensus, I'll just add that to our agenda, our legislative positions.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, and sometimes it's coffee beans, not tea leaves.
Okay. That's really good. So with that, I'll just stand for any questions. I do appreciate the flexibility of allowing me to have some time off last week, and I also want to give public thanks to Dan and to Keisha for covering while I was gone. I do understand the travel or the visits went well, but I'll defer to you to discuss those on your reports.
Okay, that being said, we'll move on to the regular agenda. Number 6.1, receive, review, and accept the Auditor Treasurer's monthly report. Good morning, Lorraine.
Good morning, Commissioners. It is still morning. We're doing good.
Yeah.
So.
Gee, thank you.
Brian, let's see, do I have the clicker? There we go. We'll let him get to our first page there. Enclosed is the October trial balance. If you want to go up one page, Brian, other way. We'll get there. This is the October trial balance prepared by Manager Sherlyn Kapsner. The report includes ARPA funds of $1,084,785.05 and the Recorder's Compliance Unallocated Account of $343,286 in the general fund. The next 3 pages are the investment reports prepared by Finance Officer Brenda Davis. Our investment earnings are still doing well. We are above our targeted budget by $1.2 million at month end. Interest earnings year to date total $3.2 million compared to $2.8 last year. We're ahead of last year by $412,974.32. Rates are dropping slightly, but we are still maintaining a good flow there. The budget to actual report is also included. That is by function, and it is a modified accrual report. So the investment earnings included in that entry include an unrealized gain on the investments. The next couple of slides are for information that went into the proposed tax notices. The notices were mailed by Prima Data on November 12th, so we have been getting calls, as I'm sure you all have. If you want to go back one, Brian, thank you. So the tax rates, let me get to mine where I can see it, were included for you. When they show the proposed, we had the proposed tax capacity values, but the tax rates are the ones that you're going to get the most questions on, which is what he has up there. Bonnie did put together, as she has other years, so you can see county, city, school district, the special taxing districts that are on there. On the TNT notices are combined, so we can't put detail on there. In the past, they've been generally like hospital districts, HRAs, economic developments. This year, the new addition was the airport as a special taxing district, so you may be getting some questions on that. But you can compare each individual area and what their rates are.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Schumacher.
I had a question. Are we going to be able to change?
I can't hear him.
Oh, are we going to be able to change or modify it so it doesn't say special taxing district and put it in there so it says St. Cloud Airport?
Not, currently not on the TNT, because we would have to list each special taxing district separately to be able to put a description in it.
Okay.
It's one segment, like we have the city, we have the township, we have the, it's one segment that could include several different districts, like the city of Big Lake has their economic development plus the airport now. We may be able to tweak that next year to be able to list those. I'm not sure how we're going to be able to get a description in there that's going to pull those.
And I'll talk about it later, but I did go out to explain that to our communities. I'm still got 2 to go, but I did 2 already. So it's fine. Thank you. I appreciate the explanation, and that's helpful because it's on us to explain it, you know.
Yep.
Share.
Yep, that's where this sheet will come in handy for you as commissioners to be able to say, you know, this is what it is in this area.
Yep, wonderful.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Danielowski.
I just would like to comment that I had already shared with Lorraine this morning. My husband and I have a property in Stearns County, so I do get to see the Stearns County TNTs. And I've always been impressed with the information that they provide in that notification. I'd like to see us, and I have said it at times, adopt something similar to theirs. They send out a very good detailed, this is included in their TNT envelope. We always talk about how we need to be better at telling our story. They go through exactly what it is that a county does. We all know what we do because we're in a bubble of the county. Most people out there don't know what a county does and what they provide with whatever that portion of that tax dollar is. And I think it's very good information when you point out that your taxes are going to go to maintaining county parks and trails, maintaining roads and bridges, operating 911, assisting veterans with benefits, run the county jail, administer WIC clinics, issue driver's licenses and birth certificates, provides public safety, coordinate elections, provide services for individuals with disabilities, supervise those released from incarceration, keep record of property documents, oversee planning and zoning, prosecute crimes, handle waste collection and recycling, and much more. And also with an employee base in Stearns County, they have 1,000 employees. And it goes on to a lot of other great information. I think that this is something that would really help our residents understand the property tax statement when it comes, and hopefully reduce the amount of phone calls that we get. And then also in regards to the proposed tax statement, they do list individually down at the bottom what the HRA cost is, watershed, regional airport, and then they do have some other special tax districts. So I think that we could incorporate kind of, we always say that mimicking is a form of flattery. I would like to see us really work to doing something of this nature. And I know in talking to Lorraine, she thought this had benefit and she was going to put some of this stuff hopefully on our website. But this is what I've been talking about, and I want to see us do this because I think it's great information for the public.
Yep. And since talking to you, I also, apparently Wright County did something very similar. Included that in their TNTs.
Yep.
So.
So we need to be telling our story.
It's very similar to the information that Dan gave at the budget presentations.
Yeah, and that's, we've been working on that format, as you know, and trying to make sure the postage costs, so we've been looking into that, so.
There again, I understand that there might be some extra postage costs, but in what it can do to educate our taxpayers, I think it's well worth whatever that investment is. My personal opinion.
Okay. Do you have any other questions for me?
Good report, thank you.
Pardon?
I said very good report, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Need a motion to accept the Auditor Treasurer's report.
Motion to approve or accept the Auditor Treasury report for October 2025, item agenda, item 6.1.
And I'll second.
Made by Commissioner Schumacher, second by Commissioner Halls. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Moving on to 6.2, receive a presentation on the completion of the Mapping Prejudice Project. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. As you may or may not recall, it's been 2 years since I first came to you with a proposal that we embark on a project called Mapping Prejudice. At that time, we drew up an agreement and we moved forward. Essentially, I opened up public records, all deeds and mortgages from my office, and shared images of those with University of Minnesota Library System so that they could perform their search. I also was happy to attend a volunteer training episode where folks were taught how to perform this research and how to look through those records. And now I've asked Michael Corey to come and present to us. Michael is with the University of Minnesota Libraries, and he has a short presentation for us. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman, for having us, and I really want to thank Recorder Ash for inviting us here today. I also want to acknowledge Dr. Brittany Merritt-Nash, who's with us from the College of St. Benedict, St. John's University, and Professor Melissa Prescott from St. Cloud State, who had to leave. But they're really the ones who are leading this research in the whole area, Sherburne, Stearns, and hopefully Benton County, to look at what the racial covenants looked like in this part of the state. And we're really here to provide sort of technical support as we've been doing this work in other parts of the state and the country until then. Do I have a clicker? I do. Is it doing anything? There we go. And I just really want to commend the county and you all for allowing us and the students at St. Ben's, St. John's, and St. Cloud State for being able to do this research. And I also really want to commend Recorder Ash, because it's really been a joy to work with her, and her entire staff, incredibly professional, very well organized records, and like I work with a lot of counties, and it's not things are not always as organized as that. So, but what you want to know really is, what did we find? After we looked through the records, we found 356 properties in Sherburne County, modern properties that had racial covenants at one time. I think that's a little more than locations than we expected. Recorder Ash said she's familiar with most of these locations, was a little surprised by the few that showed up in Elk River. And I think really, like, as I'll show some maps in a minute here, and I think what we see here and in other places is that where those covenants are located reflect sort of the development patterns at the time when racial covenants were really popular. And racial covenants were commonly used in Minnesota from about 1910 through the early 60s, with most of them being in the 20s and immediately after World War II. And so often where you're going to see them is where development is happening at those times. Almost all of the covenants in Sherburne County are around lakes, which sort of adds to a picture that we're seeing elsewhere. One of the reasons we were really excited to do this research in Sherburne County is that so much of the research nationwide has been in big cities. And I think there's been a misconception that racial covenants and segregation are a thing that only happens in bigger cities. And being able to look at other types of counties like Sherburne County, and we just finished Olmsted County, and we're just about to look at Stearns County, that really adds to that picture of like, what does this look like? And I think one of the really common things that we're seeing in these types of counties is this association with lakes and lake houses. One of the things that really does distinguish the covenants in Sherburne County is that they're really notably late in this time period. I mentioned, and I'll show that in a second. And also, as Recorder Ash noted to us, some of those covenants are, this is odd, are crossed out in the documents, just like with a line through. And we were curious about how to interpret those, and sort of in consultation with Recorder Ash, and she can speak more to this too, her interpretation is that those were likely crossed out years later after covenants were clearly unenforceable, basically because like my understanding is that would not really have had legal effect if someone just puts a cross through it on the document at the time. So I mentioned that the covenants in Sherburne County were pretty late. The racial covenants, as I mentioned, are popular in the first half of the 20th century. In 1948, the Supreme Court rules that racial covenants are unenforceable by government agencies. They don't totally make them illegal, but after 1948, a covenant is not legally enforceable anymore. And yet, more than 90% of the covenants in Sherburne County go in after that deadline. So even though they're not technically enforceable, our interpretation is that people do want to send a message that people might not necessarily be welcome in these spaces. And it's not unique to see covenants after this, but we've never really seen a distribution where it's that far weighted forward. And I think, again, that reflects where development is happening in a certain time period, but it was notable. I included here an example of a deed with a covenant. In Sherburne County, pretty much all of them have the exact same language. They say, no portion of said premises shall be conveyed or leased to any other than the Caucasian race. And that Caucasian is the term we see most often in racial covenants. It's often, I think people assume that they know what they mean when it says Caucasian, but I think one of the other reasons we do this research is that the history of these terms is complicated. So for example, are Jewish people considered Caucasian or are they not? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And so like it's not always entirely clear who is being targeted by by these covenants, but certainly it's generally considered to be a whites only area. These are generally the areas that we found covenants in. They're spread out around the county, as I mentioned, mostly around lakes. And here I'll like you know these geographies much better than I do. But we got a cluster around the Baldwin Township, Elk Lake, the Zimmerman area. And the way that these generally work is that the decision about whether to put covenants in is by the developer of the land. So when they decide to turn this into a subdivision or lake houses, they decide if they're going to covenant all of the properties or none of them. And the fact that you see this sort of checkerboard here either reflects that it just became so late in time that people were no longer doing them, or for some reason we didn't find them in the process. But I think it's not entirely clear. If you see, like where there's green, there's definitely covenants, but in those spaces in between, there may be additional covenants that our process didn't find for some reason. Here's some around the Eagle Lake area, north of Big Lake, the Lake Ann area, and you can see the sort of subdivision-y part here. Sandy Lake in Baldwin Township, and then in the Big Lake area, does this have a pointer? Yes. There's some north of Lake Mitchell, and then one down here right by 10. And is that my last one? And that's what we found. I'm happy to entertain any questions you may all have about that research. But I just want to say again, it's been really a pleasure to work with the records in Sherburne County. And as Recorder Ash mentioned, that event that we had at the library was really inspiring. People were very excited to do the work. There was a great turnout, and that's really fun. Yeah. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Mr. Judge, wondering if I can ask a question. Sure. I was trying to see the reference to Elk River here. It was not included in your big map, and then briefly at the end.
Let's see. You know what? Did I forget to do an inset for that one?
Yeah.
I might have.
I thought you mentioned Elk River, but then, so yeah, the map doesn't go all the way down, you can see.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if I'm missing a little bit of, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I got cut off by the toolbar at the bottom. I'm trying to think if there's anything we can do about that.
That's okay. Yeah, just maybe for the final report. Did you find any in Elk River?
Yeah, one. And it's kind of on the east side of town. And I don't have that exact location. But
okay, thank you.
I had one. Mr. Chairman, not a helpful comment, but when you do get to Stearns County, if you let them know there is none around the St. Cloud Airport. They want to know that in Stearns County, how great it is around the Sherburne County Airport.
So it's kind of interesting that, like, I don't really know some of the other neighborhoods, but in Orac Township, the two that have the covenants are very old communities that were originally like cabin communities.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when they were probably putting those in the 40s, they thought that was a good idea. Or 50s and 60s. I mean, those are all the old cabins, and they're kind of that's kind of interesting. It was put together originally as a recreation community, but now it's become permanent housing. So just odd.
Mr. Chair, I'm just curious, what are next steps with your project?
Well, in Sherburne County, now that that data is available, and it's available on our website and for the public to use, people may come in and request a discharge for the property. But I think really at this point, it's up to the community, and we're really hopeful to see how you all interpret what does this history mean. Because again, like I can't tell you the history of Baldwin Township. Like I think that's something that people here have to do, and that Dr. Merritt Ash's students.
Yeah, and I'll just note, students at St. Ben's and St. John's and at St. Cloud State University are going to be doing research to kind of tell stories around what we found, things like who were the developers, how were these properties advertised, and what the students end up finding, we will put up on the Great River Covenants website for public information and use.
That'd be cool.
And I think I mentioned we're about to do Stearns County, and we're just finishing up Washington County, and then we're working in a number of other counties around the country right now.
I think that information on the development pattern and that Greg mentioned might be really helpful. So perhaps your students can talk to the commissioners. They may have some really good history of those developments.
That's a great idea. Yeah, thank you.
Be more than happy to help.
I just find it really curious that, has anybody noticed that in Palmer Township, that one little green little blip in the red box is right next to Two Inlets Park?
Right next to what?
Two Inlets Park.
Tell me,
Well, that
tell
was
me when
those
to
little
stop
cabin, though. Houses right across
Off
from
of
that.
67th, I think that is.
No, did I miss it?
Is it kind of?
I might not have done it. I think I didn't.
Might
do
not
it
have done that one. It's just a small little area, but it's just ironic. It's what next to one of our future county parks here that we're developing, I just would have never thought that, but
I think we do
again.
see an association with green space and parks in more urban areas, so I think that might be significant.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Was your slide presentation included in our packet?
It is.
Okay.
You know,
Get down to it.
I'm sorry, it's not. I've sent it to Keisha.
she can forward it on.
On to you.
Yeah,
All right,
that would be
that'll be
great.
perfect.
Yeah, if you
I was
could,
gonna
I
say,
also recommend that you go to the website mappingprejudice.com.
It's, if you just Google mapping prejudice, it's the first thing. It's,
okay,
You'll get a nice interactive map.
all right, thank you, because I did not recall seeing it, so, but thank
if,
you.
and if you have the maps for both the Palmer Township one as well as the Elk River one, that might be something for the Two Inlets Committee to discuss. Maybe, you know, we could take the information online. We could have that as part of the interpretation as well. So it'd be
Right.
very interesting, especially if there is one close by, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's more than I thought there would be.
Yeah,
For sure.
a lot. Yeah.
yeah, I can be sure to, I can send, I know I have those maps, I just didn't include them all in the presentation, so I'll send them on to Recorder Ash and.
Perfect.
Be great.
Thank you.
Just for clarification, Mr. Chair, are these being removed now? Because I noticed, like, I live on the street that is one street over from the one that you found in Big Lake off of Lake Mitchell.
Sure, so some history on that. We know that the records in my office are permanent records. They don't get destroyed and they don't get obliterated. We also know that, as Michael stated, in the mid-60s, there was legislation that they are unenforceable. What the remedy, if you will, to this is, statute said if a homeowner who currently lives on one of those parcels wishes to record that kind of notification in my office, there's a prescribed form that they can do and fill that out and bring it to my office, and I'll record it, approved, no charge for recording that. Today, I have not received any of those, but that's the option. No, we can't destroy the record.
Okay.
But if anybody feels strongly and they currently live on one of those parcels, they can file something in my office that says that they disavow those racial restrictions.
And what exactly would notify that homeowner that there is something in there?
We have not done anything broad and sweeping, just this project so far.
Okay.
And so maybe if we share the website,
Yeah.
it shows the maps.
Mhm.
Yeah. If
So
those,
it'll be the onus on the property owner.
it is, and it's not mandatory. They don't
No.
have to do anything. Again, if somebody feels strongly that they want to file an affidavit of disavowment, I'll be happy to accept those for recording into the public record.
Yeah, and like I said, I think this is a first step because most people probably would be unaware.
Correct.
Because I know nobody looks at those
Yeah.
documentations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one question. Can you send us a copy of a blank disavowment form, what that would look like?
I will. I
Yeah,
will.
just so we can see what we're, yes, thank you.
Absolutely. I'll find that disavowment and I'll share it with you all.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, 6.3, consider approval of comments as presented and discussed on the scoping environmental assessment worksheet and draft scoping decision for document for Elk River Landfill's proposed north development area. Morning, Dave.
Good morning. So Elk River Landfill proposes to expand their MSW operations into Livonia Township. And in accordance with Minnesota rules, a scoping environmental assessment worksheet and a draft scoping decision document were prepared and published on October 28th. The public comment period ends December 1st. And the MPC is the responsible government unit. Department staff and consultants reviewed the scoping EAW and the draft scoping decision document and prepared the draft comment letter and the attachments for your consideration and approval. As stated in the executive summary, these two documents fail to address Minnesota rules on siting of landfills. The proposed project site and surrounding areas present challenges to monitoring and remediation in any potential contaminant release. An alternative site analysis should be included for numerous reasons as stated in the document, such as the site is problematic for monitoring and cleanup in the event of a release. The wetland complex and Rice Lake, which is a protected wild rice water body, are at risk in the event of a release. The scoping environmental assessment worksheet and a draft decision scoping decision document should be amended to include a modified scale. The project capacity as planned is based upon various design decisions such as the slope height and the line of construction that would require approvals from both the MPCA and the county. It is also inconsistent with the state's waste management hierarchy, which promotes processing over landfilling. The scoping environmental assessment worksheet and the draft scoping decision document should be amended to consider alternative technologies for processing of waste to reduce overall need for landfilling. Other questionable assumptions must be addressed and corrected as detailed in the document are that further study is needed to potential visual impacts and transportation impacts. Further study is also needed to the management of leachate generation. Please note that the attached spreadsheet provides for detailed comments to each of the scoping environmental assessment worksheet and draft scoping decision document sections. It is also important to note that the submittal of these comments is neither a consideration of approval or denial of the proposed project. Instead, the proposed comments address the accuracy and completeness of the scoping environmental assessment worksheet and draft scoping decision document, including identifying potential impacts that warrant further investigation. It is important that an appropriately scoped EIS is prepared to fully assess the potential environmental impacts from the proposed landfill expansion. This is necessary given the existing contaminant plume that is difficult to monitor and remediate. Further, the MPC's role in enforcing the legislator's waste management hierarchy on processing and landfilling should also be studied as part of the project's EIS to determine if there are any actions the MPCA and waste management should take or required to take to minimize the need for landfilling. This is important given the amount of metropolitan waste that is received. Next steps in this process, the MPCA will be hosting a public meeting, actually tomorrow, at the Livonia Zimmerman Fire Station. Then the MPCA will prepare and issue a final scoping decision document. Next, the agency will issue an EIS preparation notice and draft an EIS for public comment. An informational meeting will then be held, and the MPCA will finalize that EIS and distribute for public comment. Then the MPCA will determine the adequacy of the final EIS and distribute an adequacy decision. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Questions?
Well, we didn't get this till yesterday, so I didn't get a chance to really read it until about 9:30, 10 o'clock last night. So I know I missed a few things. But there were a couple things in there that I thought we should change just conceptually. I mean, there's a line in there that the Ojibwe people have been, and other tribes have been harvesting rice since the glaciers went out. The Anishinaabe people actually arrived in Minnesota just prior to 1700. So that should probably be the Dakota people in that line. I know it's a small thing, but accuracy, you know. Have the Anishinaabe been harvesting wild rice since they've been here? Yes, but their advent certainly wasn't 14,500 years ago as the glaciers retreated. And then I do have a little bit of a question. Page 27, the Tri-County Solid Waste Management Commission, specifically looking at options regarding current waste disposal with Pope Douglas Tri-County requires delivery of waste, agreement set to expire in December 31st, 2031. In identifying methods to increase overall landfilling is paramount to Sherburne County and Tri-County at this time. What do we mean by that? Because I'm not sure that we've kind of been focusing at Tri-County and not increasing landfilling if we can. I mean, one or two people aren't, but.
What page, Commissioner, are you?
Page 27.
27?
Yep.
As Dave gets there, Commissioner, I'm just wondering, with respect to your comment on the Anishinaabe, should we just make it Native Americans and keep it general at that point?
Just, yeah,
Or
Indigenous people.
indigenous people? Okay.
I think
Yeah,
it-
I think that's better so that we
Yeah,
capture it.
yeah.
You know, we'll consider that at this point a friendly correction, but when you do your final vote, we'll make sure that that's included as a friendly, so.
You know, my apologies, Mr. Chair, Commissioner, I must have read this thing 1,000 times. And it should identify methods to reduce overall landfilling.
Okay,
Yes.
excellent. Okay, I read that and I thought, I caught it.
You did.
I wasn't entirely asleep when I read
No,
it then, so
thank
just
you.
making sure, you know.
I don't know, maybe you got that maybe we got the language from Commissioner Bertram in Stearns County, I don't know. So, you know.
Let's not go there. And then, I mean, and this is just more a personal thing. I'm not sure we should encourage everybody to have chickens to eat their food, but it is one way to reduce food waste. I
Yes.
understand that. I just, you know,
And
we have
Ms.
chicken waste, but that's another thing. That's a whole other set of parameters, I guess.
Yep. And Mr. Chair, to Commissioner Felber's comment in regards to, and the clarification, to reduce
Yes.
solid waste. And I think that I'm encouraged that I think that that is a great opportunity that we can have in our future, in partnering going forward with waste management and those opportunities to do that, because I think their goal is the same. Just a personal observation.
Thoughts?
Any others other than that, you know?
We need to
think we
make a
all have
motion
pretty
and
good
approve of this? We need to make a motion and approve this?
We do, and I just noted we had talked a little bit, it didn't make it into the final motion, so, you know, the motion is to consider approval of comments as presented and discussed. So we would include in that the two corrections noted here, but I would also recommend that the board consider adding for the record a subject to have the motion. That would be subject to final review and adjustment consistent with the Board of Commissioners' discussion and direction following the public comment. And the reason we're suggesting that is we'll attend the public discussion tomorrow, and if we see things and we want to make some final minor adjustments before the commissioner and the chair sign it, that means we wouldn't have to have a special meeting. So it's like, oh, yeah, or if something else comes up. So if the board's comfortable, subject to final review and adjustment consistent with Board of Commissioners' direction following the public hearing, or if you want to say the MPCA public hearing. That just means we'll attend, and if we see anything, obviously if there's extreme variation, we would schedule a special meeting prior to December. But if it's minor, which is why I suggest, you know, review and adjustment, then it gives us authority to tweak it a bit.
Mr. Chairman, why wouldn't we just wait until the next meeting in 10 days?
It's after the input period. So what we want to do is get your direction today with what we've prepared, have it in our back pocket tomorrow night. If we see something significant, we will call a special meeting. Otherwise, what we'll do is we'll just make those final, anything that we want to do. You'll obviously be informed, but then we can still get our input.
Works for you? Looking for a motion.
Well, then, move for approval of the comments with the change on page 27 to reduce overall landfilling and the change on, let me see if I got the page here. Oh, I probably don't have the page, dang it.
You can just say as amended. We have it in the record.
As amended to change Ojibwe to indigenous peoples.
And does your amendment also include my subject to line?
And your subject line, yes.
So as amended, and the three amendments are indigenous, decrease versus increase, and then subject to.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
Mr.
By
Chairman?
Commissioner Danilowski. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I do.
Schumacher.
If there is a change that happens, I will not be here, as I've given notice that I'll be gone for 14 days.
You mean coming up?
Yes, you know that.
That's right, but we'll find you.
Okay, I just want to,
It'll be, you might be remote, but as long as I can see and hear you, you can participate.
because I'll be there tomorrow.
Yep.
But then if you guys,
Yeah, well, when we post for a special meeting, it's a 3 days posting, and you are allowed by state law to participate remotely.
okay.
As long as you can be seen and heard, and it can be done from your phone. I did it last week.
You can, and
I'm okay.
just make sure, you know, if it's a morning meeting, just make sure the night before you regulate your sleep and other activities.
Have a Snickers early. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to say that in my thought, I think my goal is to make sure that we are moving forward with a business that however it comes with the potential expansion, that I think we're all on the same page in regards to making sure we want to do everything that we can do to protect anything in the future for our residents and our property owners, but yet also work with the business that is here, and we can all work together on helping to make sure we're managing our waste in this county effectively. And I don't know, I hope I'm not getting a scowl from
Well,
our
I mean,
legal.
you're in discussion of the motion. It's appropriate. I mean, I think you've had workshops and you've had previous discussions. You know, the county is the local regulatory agency, so it is a different relationship. But it obviously can still be a partnership within that regulatory relationship. Waste Management has been and continues to be a very good partner, and you know, we've got a lot of opportunities to expand that partnership while still being the regulatory body. That being said, the county's objectives are still very clear. It's to protect the environment and to protect the residents, citizens, and taxpayers of Sherburne County. And to that extent, these comments are consistent with that.
Yeah, and I would think that that's everybody's goal.
Without it saying more, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
I would note, we do have a couple folks from Waste Management in the audience, if you want to thank them and welcome them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for working with us as well. We appreciate it.
As you start Commissioner correspondence, I was wondering if I could circle back to my comments real quick and add a couple.
Sure.
I did receive notice while we were here that for commissioners and for the public, SNAP benefits are now fully proceeding in Sherburne County. So that's good news. The state has indicated that things are proceeding. So just an update. And then second, Keisha reminds you, we really need to solidify those who are traveling in February. Intended travel dates. Right now, we've booked you for the 21st through the 24th if you're going to go in early, or I'll work with Keisha on the opportunity to stay late an extra day. So I'll communicate with you on the extra day if you're waiting for me. But if you're just know you're going to do it regardless, if you could firm those dates up for travel arrangements and hotels as soon as possible, that would be great. Yeah, let me and Keisha know. I'm going to talk to our lobbyist today or tomorrow and see if we can stay an extra day. In which case, if you haven't indicated that you're available, I'll contact you and say, could you stay an extra day? But if you're planning on staying an extra day for your own personal reasons, we just need to know for hotel reservations.
Yeah, so
What day is the extra day? When you want us
So
to tell?
what I would suggest you doing is looking at the tentative agenda. They do have days assigned to the agenda now. When we first were talked to you guys, they didn't have anything assigned for dates and times. So if you look at the tentative agenda that's out there now, to see if you guys need to fly in on the 20th, because then we need to add that extra day. Because right now you're flying in and arriving on the 21st. I don't know what flights look like right now, so I can't guarantee that you're gonna say arrive at 6 in the morning, or if you're gonna arrive at 6 in the afternoon. And
I've
then,
been the last 2 days, Andrew. I think it's been prudent to go the day before.
Yeah.
Because everything starts so bright and early on
Yeah.
that Friday morning.
So right now, you've booked
I
commissioners,
just booked the dates of the conference.
right, which is
Not
the
the day
night of the
before.
21st through,
The 21st to the 24th are your current dates.
does
or your
that mean the night of the
reservations.
24th or the night of the 23rd?
Check out on the 24th.
Okay, so
Check in on
21st,
the
22nd, 3rd. So
23rd.
we booked 3 nights.
Yeah.
Conference ends on the 24th. So if you're going to go in earlier or later, we have to see if we can extend that hotel room.
And the sooner we know that, the better, because they book up fast for that 20th.
Right. So what we would do if we can get a hold of our lobbyists is see if the afternoon of the 24th and the morning of the 25th are available for us to walk the halls directly, us. If that's the case, then I would ask if some of you can extend to stay the night of the 24th, check out the morning of the 25th, fly back the afternoon or evening of the 25th.
Got it. Okay.
Do that. I can definitely do that. So I go out there really.
Commissioner correspondence.
Oh, I'll go first.
Why?
It's volunteer. I go fast. That's why. Okay. The correspondence were tobacco emails and conversations, which we talked about earlier. I visited with the city of Zimmerman on the airport, the special taxation district, so that they were able to talk about that. Went to Baldwin last night. To their city council with Dave Lucas. He did a fantastic job on the presentation on yard waste and doing the yard waste updates, because it's going to be a big deal for us overall. There, I also did talk about them with a brief conversation about our 2026 priority on the rifle and shotgun conversation. They didn't like my response, which was, we already have a 4-year permit to go big buck bumper hunting right here with my driver's license, unlimited deer. Unlimited deer, they did not like that. But it was very funny. The tour with the congressman, his staff, that went very good to be able to discuss the priorities that we have and then the investment that's happening around our county. I went to the Rum River Housing Outreach Program. We went there. Brian was there, and that was well attended and definitely a great conversation. I wanted to promote that we would get a corrections officer to come speak at that event. There's 50 people there roughly, and I think that they would find that useful, because a lot of those folks maybe just had never been in the community corrections office before. Spoke to the 728 school board member, because during their tour with the congressman, we weren't able to go to the Community Connect partner. We did have somebody there, but I just wanted to just double back and circle back on that. And then 253rd, I'm going to need from the county board, Dan knows, a letter of support, probably from us, so that Livonia can work on getting a grant between our two county roads. 253rd is the cut across road between County Road 46 and County Road 45. Not saying that we're helping to pay, but that we would support their process in getting that grant.
Mr. Chair, isn't that something that Andrew Witter would work with? That I would suggest contacting him.
Dan, just telling you guys, we're
Okay.
working on that.
We'll have one from Big Lake next meeting as well. So
Okay,
there'll be a
perfect.
couple on next week's agenda.
Perfect, okay.
And that was my wrap up.
Commissioner
Chair-
Holmes.
Oh, I was gonna wanna go next, darn it.
I'll go fast.
I knew that.
I was gonna go fast.
So, after the board meeting on the 4th, met with HR and went over some preliminary designs for what a succession planning process and program would look like for the county, with some examples that I'd done from past lives. Worked on then the Pillar 5 strategic planning piece as well, which the strategic planning piece is a prime, is one of the prime goals of that particular pillar. So that dovetailed nicely. And then also had the meeting with the Mississippi Watershed District on the 6th. I was supposed to be in for the meeting on the 12th with Congressman Emmers, but given my baritone voice, you can tell I've been under the weather for the last week, so I did not make that one, and that's my update.
Commissioner Danielowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to be really fast because I'm being accused of being too long. Attended the Central Minnesota Council on Aging Zoom meeting. on November 6th, November 7th, attended a Zoom federal shutdown update regards to SNAP and WIC, and of course, the minute that was over with, everything changed. So that's kind of always a moving target. November 12th, the visit with Congressman Emmer's staff, Taylor Reeves and Shelby Novotny, went really well. I could not be more impressed with those two representatives for Congressman Emmer, and just did the tour and showed them a lot of stuff, and they learned a lot of stuff that they didn't know about, and so I think it's going to be a very good relationship going forward. And attended the Big Lake Township meeting that evening. Also attended the First Steps meeting and the Black meeting and the APO board meeting in St. Cloud. One thing the APO is looking at doing is maybe contacting the counties who are a part of the APO, Sherburne, Benton, and Stearns, make up that body along with cities and township representation, and looking at maybe doing a regional aspect in regards to who we use to lobby for us. The thought is if we put more into that, we all benefit greater. So more to come on that idea. They were going to reach out to the administrators and kind of get that ball of conversation rolling. I'm done.
Really pressure on Greg.
Mark it.
Okay, so I was on theoretical vacation for a week. I only did 3 meetings that week, so it's not quite as long. I reviewed material from the Resilient Communities webinar. That was all about solar runoff. Be following those as they go on. The Solid Waste Working Group, AMC Solid Waste Working Group, there was a lot of discussion about how MPCA permitting for landfills takes a ridiculously long period of time. Polk County took 10 years to get one, and there's other places that are just going on. There's some really huge problems with the MPCA permitting timeline. Sat through a webinar on the future of biofuels. I'll be watching those as they keep going. They're talking about trying to figure out the actual carbon footprint of biofuels. It's not as rosy as people think it is. Violent Offender Task Force, they're still doing great work. NACO Justice Public Safety, a whole lot of that was on the shutdown, and obviously that's done. The AMC SNAP webinar, obviously that's done. Still doing my Leading on Purpose program for both weeks. I did the MESB meeting from Dockside because I needed to vote that day, so I know how that one worked out. The primary topic there was the director's performance evaluation, and we got that done. The Sherburne County CEC last night, we had a lot of good discussions on a variety of subjects. We are one of the best shooting sports groups in the state. We got 66 kids participating in our shooting sports, and they need more coaches if that's within your wheelhouse, and you're hearing me talk about this now. Went to the Becker Township meeting last night. And the one thing I did want to spend a little bit of time on is that over the weekend, 5 cops were shot nationwide. All the cops have survived, and the suspects, fortunately, did not. But this brings up the whole subject of the constant berating of law enforcement that I see on TV, primarily with ICE. And they say that ICE is not enforcing laws, that ICE is arresting innocent people. So, a very, very quick synopsis for people who can't seem to read. U.S. Code 1345 prohibits you from entering the United States of America and makes it a crime to do so. You can be imprisoned up to 6 months for that. So it is a crime. It is not just a civil penalty. Once you're inside the county, once you're inside the country, you would either have to be working or applying for benefits. U.S. Code 408 prohibits you from falsely applying for a Social Security number or using a Social Security number, and that would remain a felony. U.S. Code 1324, making an employment of an unauthorized alien is unlawful, and that is a felony. Filling out your I-9 falsely is a felony. When you get down to it, and then if you in any way assist, abet under U.S. Code 1324, to help aliens stay in the country, bring aliens into the country, that also remains a felony. So the vast majority of work that ICE is doing is arresting people for a wide variety of felonies that exist in federal law. ICE, unlike some other federal agencies, does have nationwide jurisdiction. I mean, you know, organizations like the Treasury agents downtown, the VA police do not have authority off of federal property, but ICE does. So they're actually out there enforcing felonies. I think this code 1324, assisting aliens to stay inside the country, I would like to see us as a county adopt a resolution to ensure that we are not engaged in that activity, that we are actually taking a good solid look at the services that we provide and making sure that there's no illegal aliens doing. And I see Dawn's brow furrow on this, and I don't know how we do this, but it's an idea that I would like to pursue, and we should talk about it. I came up with this last night, so that's what I want to say about that. I mean, this idea that they're out there committing crimes is absolutely false. Law enforcement is doing what law enforcement is supposed to do, which is identify people, arrest them, and forward them for prosecution. That's it.
Well, on a lighter note, it's Mickey Mouse's birthday today. Just so everybody knows that. And it's National Homemade Bread Day. So on the 5th, I did the Pillar 3 group. On the 6th, I did the Community Adult Mental Health Initiative group by Zoom. I also did on the 12th the Chief of Staff with Congressman Emmers. Taylor and Shelby were fabulous. I think they're going to be tremendous people to work with. I think, Dan, we're set up for the 24th. They want to tour the coal plant. So we're going to take them through the coal plant. I did the San Diego Town Board meeting. SWCD, the First Steps, the Littles, I think that program is expanding all the time. That just still fascinates me. The two inlets, the Capital Investment Tour, we had Senator Andrew Matthews, Senator Pappas, Senator Rasmussen, Jansky, and Johnson, and their staff there. I think the biggest hit of the night was Gina provided s'mores. I think they got off the bus, it was dark, and I think that was a hit. They had marshmallows on their sticks before they even hit the ground, I think. Staff did a great job. Gina did a great job of presenting. Jeff and Joe were there from Public Works, making sure that we had borrowed the Elk River Hockey Day on Ice cauldron for a bonfire. They had borrowed that. So we actually had it was a nice, completely dark out. To tour a park in the complete dark is a different thing, but I think the park was very well receptive that night. Then I did the CEC meeting with Greg last night. He mentioned the shooting part. I'm going to mention the llamas. I think that's fascinating. They bought 2 more llamas. Their llama program is continuing to grow. They've got more kids in their llama thing. And they got $2,000 from the Clear Lake Lions to expand their llama program too. So yeah, kudos to the 4-Hers in doing llamas. So that's all I had. And another big kudo to Administrator Messelt. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think on order over the weekend, you have a new son-in-law. So that's a tremendous aspect.
Well, we're waiting for the visa before he becomes a son-in-law. So legally they can't marry, but we did have the celebration. But appreciate that. And that was very fun, so I appreciate that. I did forget to note, and again, I'm sorry, a little disheveled today. Nathan Justin did contact us. As you know, we're hosting the annual meeting of MICA in January. The reason I bring it up is the timing, we're looking at using Pebble Creek as the location. Unfortunately, we normally would do a 2 to 8 event with a dinner. Pebble Creek doesn't have those hours available in the winter. So it looks like they're looking at going 11 to 5. So we'd have a lunch versus a dinner, which works well, especially for people traveling. I throw out the idea that maybe our commissioners would then be willing to host a social someplace after the formal event, so we can find a location where we could do a social gathering. I hope I didn't step out too far on that, and some of you might be willing to consider doing that.
No, another aspect that I considered too is they might be interested in, weather permitting, a tour of the solar facility, and maybe in Guardian Fleet Safety, if any of them are interested in that, considering that most of their Public Works vehicles are outfitted in sirens and computers and stickering up at Guardian right now, so it might be an aspect. Just a thought.
Yeah, we could look at doing that as a morning activity for those who come in.
Early, yeah.
Yep. But if you're okay, I will proceed with that, and we'll try to find a location for a social activity following the closure of the formal meeting.
That'll work.
Okay.
All right.
What's the date on that?
What was the date on that one?
I'm going to pull it. It's end of January. I don't know if it's the 30th or the 31st, so I'll get that out to you again.
In the essence of time, is anyone interested in a break? Or should we move right into
Community health.
Community Health Board? We're moving on. All right, I'll recess the regular meeting and open the Community Health Board meeting. Somewhere here I have an agenda, which I don't think is very long. I don't even think I have it.
It'd be behind your other stuff in your folder.
I'll take that one.
You guys want to come sit down?
I need a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hulse.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Felber. All those in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the regular Community Health Board meetings from September 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Daniela, second by Commissioner Felber. All those in favor?
Aye.
And now we're moving on to 2.2, receive the Community Health Service Administrator's bi-monthly update. Nicole, good morning.
Good morning. I don't have a real long update today, but I do have a guest, and she's going to talk a little bit about her program in just a few minutes. So just going to highlight a few of the progress on the priorities we've had for 2025. So the first is around our Community Health Improvement Plan, which you know we brought to the board back in July for approval. So the Community Health Improvement Plan is underway, and we have been implementing that in the last few months. We do have a 2-page handout, so if anyone is interested and wants to have that, we have that available, but we're sharing that with partners that we're meeting and just kind of talking about those high-level community health goals that we are striving for in the next few years. I had an opportunity last week to be a discussant on some research projects, which was a new venture for myself, along with Peggy Sammons from our office. So St. Cloud State and CentraCare have had a partnership for various years, probably 6 or 7 years, called CHOPPER, which is the Center for Health Outcomes and Policy Research, where they base research projects on our Community Health Improvement Plan. And so last week, the 7 different projects talked about what their research entailed and some of the progress and data that they've accomplished so far. So Peggy and I got to speak on the research project around prenatal care, prenatal pregnancy risk, birth outcomes, and the role of neighborhood characteristics. So that was a really interesting research project, and it really highlighted the impacts of all of those social drivers of health and how community design can really impact birth outcomes for our pregnant women. And it was really great to hear other people say the Community Health Improvement Plan that were not public health. So I think every researcher alluded to different aspects of the plan. So it did get used, and we are pleased to have a part in that. The second priority is that we were wanting to expand partnerships through a health and all policies approach. And so some of those things that we've been doing to prepare included assessment of all of the public health division staff. We completed an assessment, self-assessment that went through the core competencies that every public health professional should have. And we got a rating on how we do individually and also how we are as a group. It might not surprise you that one of our top strengths were community partnerships. And we totally acknowledge that that is one area where we feel very comfortable, but some of our low areas or our areas of opportunity were policy work and engaging decision makers. So we'll continue to work and build our skills in being able to do that. And last, we had some priorities around expanding the work of our alcohol, tobacco, and other drug prevention work, of which you saw some of that action today. We have an award-winning coalition. They were awarded the Community Prevention Award this fall here for the state of Minnesota, so we're really proud of the work that they've been doing to keep our communities safe and decrease youth access. And a big thank you to all of you today for your thoughtful discussions, the time you allotted for us in public health and our partners to have the education sessions, and for you to come to your decisions today. We want to be partners in how this gets implemented and how we support our local businesses, as well as our schools and other parents and those in our community who are advocating for keeping youth and our communities healthy. So really appreciate that. So we are governed as a community health board by statute 145A, and it really talks about how we as public health and our community health services really work to decrease the prevention of disease, injuries, and preventable deaths by promoting health in many ways. And so I'm going to have Christy come up and talk about one of the programs and how we do that work.
Hello, Commissioners and Chair. My name is Christy Hain. I'm a Community Health Coordinator, and I work with a part of the Statewide Health Improvement Partnership, the SHIP grant. And I'm going to share a little bit today regarding the work I've done with Tri Wellness at work over the past year, as well as with a collaboration I've had with Sky Central, a thing called Sky Central Airport, and as well as some work coming up with SHIP 6 coming up here now, and also a little bit of information regarding the health and wellness program here at Sherburne County. So work site wellness. Many people spend at least a third of their day at work, so providing those healthy opportunities at work is so very important. Benefits to employers and employees are decreased absenteeism and healthcare costs, improved productivity, increased employee recruitment and retention, bolstered employee morale and commitment, and improved time and stress management as well. So SHIP supports those partnerships with employees in the county to implement workplace wellness initiatives to support those policy, system, and environmental changes. Often we refer to those as PSE. Changes to provide an increase in access to healthy foods, including breastfeeding support, movement throughout the day, and mental well-being support. And in addition, a reduction in the use of commercial tobacco within the workplace. So part of the work that I do is a program on a collaborative we have set up is called Tri Wellness at Work. And so basically it is a collaborative that was formed in 2016 between Benton, Sherburne, and Stearns County, where public health staff work with employers to help support them in their worksite wellness effort. We provide free guidance, tools, and resources to help build a sustainable worksite wellness program. And since 2015, we have worked with a total of about 61 or connected with 61 organizations in the Tri-County area during this collaborative. And these are all the work sites that we have connected with since about 2015. And a little bit about the key concepts of what we do in this work. So one of the things we talk about is the foundational elements of a workplace wellness program. We talk about gaining that leadership support. We talk about creating a wellness team and completing a worksite wellness assessment. We talk again about those policy, system, and environmental changes that focus on healthy eating and breastfeeding support, physical activity, commercial tobacco-free living, and mental well-being. We talk about different types of assessments that they can do. Most common one is probably the employee interest survey, but also a management survey, high-risk assessment, and biometric screenings as well. We talk about forming a mission, vision, and brand, as well as the communication plan. How are you going to communicate with your employees as well? We bring in the Bounce Back Project through CentraCare, and they present on resiliency. And I can say every time they come in, usually these organizations will go back and then bring the Bounce Back Project back to their organization as well. And probably one of the biggest things I really like to focus on is the networking within these organizations. Every time we work with these organizations, and I'll talk about an interest survey, or excuse me, a satisfaction survey that we do shortly here. But one of the key components is the networking. These businesses love to network, and so we really find that a true priority that we want to make, and so organizations can learn from each other as well. In 2025, we offered a Community Partner Award, and these are the organizations that received that Community Partner Award. Big Brothers and Big Sisters, Boys and Girls Club, Cairo, or Center for African Immigrants and Refugees, the Initiative Foundation, St. Cloud Metrobus, Milestones, and St. Cloud State University. So just want to show you some of those examples of those environmental changes that these organizations did. And Big Brothers Big Sisters, they were able to get sit-stand desks. St. Cloud State University has some exercise equipment. Milestones created a healthy snack station. The Initiative Foundation had outdoor meeting space. Metrobus had well-being resources, library, and a calendar. And Cairo with a refrigerator and walking pad. And then lastly, the Boys and Girls Club also had a healthy snack station. So as I mentioned, usually at the end of this collaborative, we usually do a satisfaction survey. When we want to hear from the employers or organizations, what is it that they liked about Try Wellness at Work? What can we do to improve our efforts as well? So about 13 organizations completed or people completed this satisfaction survey in 2025. And overall satisfaction with our work was 4.6 out of 5. Try Wellness members find that the networking, as I mentioned earlier, the resource sharing, and guest speaker presentations were the most beneficial part of the collaborative. A couple common shares, I learned at least one new thing at every meeting. And since joining this group, our wellness committee has transformed. We now meet monthly and host quarterly events to boost our staff's wellness with different topics, which many of them are influenced by Try Wellness at Work. One of the things I want to mention, we had a great opportunity to collaborate with St. Cloud Sky Central Airport as well. And so what we did is we partnered with them or collaborated with them, and they were able to receive an upgrade to their lactation space. So it was part of working as a business and also on the community and supporting breastfeeding as well. So looking ahead, so moving into Ship 6, which is starting now, we are starting to recruit for our next collaborative starting in January of 2026. I've been able to work with Brian Fleming, also in getting the information out there about Try Wellness at Work as well. And a couple of things regarding our own Sherburne County Health and Wellness Committee. We have environmental changes that have taken place here as well. We have the lactation spaces here at the Government Center. We also have the wellness room, and then also now the commercial tobacco kits that are available for employees and their families as well.
Do you have any questions for Christy or comments?
Yep.
Can you provide us with your slide presentation, please? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I had one.
Mr. Schumacher.
The healthy food station options, do I miss that back in our, because it doesn't seem to, yeah. Thank you, I really appreciate it, great presentation.
You notice we didn't get an award.
They don't put the Snickers in that one.
No, Snickers are not on the healthy food thing.
I mean, it does contain, the 5 food groups, but it's not the same.
Okay, we're ready now.
I just wanted to remind you of some upcoming events that we have. We do have designated commissioners on those committees, but all are welcome to attend if you would like to learn more. Or if you just want to connect with public health, you have questions or concerns, we're certainly available. One added point of information too, I just wanted to give you a short update on the public health nuisance with the clandestine lab for DMT. We have completed the remediation with a contractor. And we're just getting the final reports and invoicing finalized now. But all of those deliverables in the contract have been completed, and the test result for the area that was in the furnace has come down to below the Minnesota standard for methamphetamine residual. So we're glad that that is wrapping up.
Mr. Chair, I did have a question. And I hope it's not off topic, but I'm just wanting to know, have we had the opportunity to do, and I know this is a moving target, to analyze what the impacts, if any, because you talk about focusing on partnerships, and one of the biggest partnerships are with a lot of our healthcare organizations. And I know that there's a lot of reorganizing going on amongst these facilities that are looking to see that they know that their dollars are going to be reduced due to the Medicaid process and stuff and the reduction of federal funding. Have we got any sense of how that's going to affect these things going forward in regards to, I know that they've reduced different people that they've provided for some of these programs and stuff, so have we had a chance to look at that potentially yet?
I'm really happy that we do have a pretty close working relationship with both CentraCare and Fairview. For Fairview, I sit on their local advisory council and their system advisory council, and so I have an opportunity probably at least every other month or quarterly to connect with our partners at Fairview and just talk about what are priorities, how do we work together, and they've been super responsive, and they do have some reorganization going as well. The Fairview part will be going away, and they'll be rebranding, and so you'll see that in the beginning of the year. They're anticipating lots of things, but I think until they really see the impacts, they're holding fast, they're cross-training, I think they're preparing, and also trying to build those community partnerships with a lot of nonprofits to ensure that there is some safety nets available. So we do continue to have those conversations. As far as CentraCare, we meet monthly with CentraCare, and so despite the reorganization, they still have contacts for us. They've been quite responsive, and when we had the opportunity last week to talk with CentraCare and St. Cloud State, they really did reassure us that they are working diligently to figure out how to best meet communities' needs while keeping us in the loop and coordinating with us. So I feel like we've got good relationships and that we stay in close contacts.
That's good to hear, and obviously we'll all stay tuned to see what the future is going to hold in that world. All right, thank you.
Questions, Todd? Very good. I just want to say thank you, Nicole, Alicia, Amelia, Cara. I classified today's vote on the tobacco ordinance as a win. We moved the needle a little bit, not a lot. I don't think everybody's happy. As Commissioner Hull says, we're not going to make them all happy. We're not going to make them all mad at us, but it's a win. And I want to thank you. You sit behind the scenes and do stuff that doesn't get recognized, and I think that needs to be. So kudos. Thank you.
Yeah, we are ecstatic. Cara's been at this 30-some years. She's been waiting for this, so we are just so
Well, I'm glad we could
appreciative.
deliver after 30 years. Thank you for being patient.
Yeah, it's a big day. It's a big day for Sherburne County.
Thank you. Yep. Like I've said, public health, it's not instant gratification, it's long-term, and I think that's what it takes. So, appreciate it. Anything else for Nicole, staff? Okay. We'll adjourn the public health, and we'll reconvene the regular meeting, and we'll adjourn. I love that.